All right, everybody. What do you say we try this one more time? Don't have any idea why I couldn't get back on. For those of you that were curious, the my PC crashed. The Dell XPS 8700 just crashed. So, yep, that happened. It works. Yeah, I'm sure the old one's probably still going on. Hopefully, everybody figures out that I've disabled it, or I'm trying to disable it. Let's see. Yeah, it drives me nuts. There's no way, once a computer crashes, there's absolutely no way to stop the live stream. YouTube just has to realize, oh, it's over, so they shut it off. Let's see what's actually happening. I'm going to let everybody know that this one is changed. New live stream at the link I just shared. All right, so yeah, that happened. My computer blue screen had the BSOD, so that's why. Yeah, I have Cat 6. I've had Cat 6 pretty much ever since you could have Cat 6, being like the early 2000s, like 2003, 4, 5, something like that. I can't remember exactly when it came out, but yeah, it's not that. I think it was just a random glitch. I probably need to update Google Chrome, and I think that's really why it crashed. But let's see. Oh no, I see what happened. I've been kind of a bad boy. I didn't update my Radeon drivers. I will bet you that's why it crashed. Let me see how far out of date I am. Yeah, not too bad. I'm about 3 revisions out. The version of the Radeon desktop that I'm running, or what do they call it now? The Radeon Gaming Experience version 19.6.1. And I should be running 19.9.2. So I'm about 3 revisions out of date. Probably why it crashed. Been really busy lately, so unfortunately some of this stuff has to just take a back seat. If it crashes again, I'll take that as a sign I probably should not be doing a live stream tonight, and then I'm just probably going to end it. It is hilarious. There are still 2 people watching the old stream. If you're watching the old stream, I hope you figured out now that it's not coming back. Unreal. Unreal. So we got 7 people here. Most people, I think, have figured out by now that I had to restart it. Yeah, I've used Firefox on occasion, but generally I find Chrome just to be more reliable, more stable. At least with this computer, it's weird. I have friends that swear by Firefox, like you, because they say Chrome doesn't work well on their equipment. On this system, Chrome always works better. The link took you to the live streaming dashboard. Hang on, let me try this again. Well, hopefully everybody's figured it out by now. I think everybody's figured out by now. I'll share this on Facebook really quick, because that's where the majority of you see it anyway, or you just get an alert on your phone. Yeah, Brave browser. You've been telling me about that. I, again, just have not had a chance to look that up yet. Oh, I looked it up, I should say, but I haven't had a chance to use it yet. As you guys can hear, my sinuses are totally clogged right now. We are having, and it's funny, as cold as it is right now, it's amazing. There is still like an inch of pollen on every vehicle. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's thick right now. I got most people back. So I miss Netscape Navigator. Wow, I haven't even thought about that in years. Last time I used Netscape, I think was in high school. In we had this place called the Chesapeake Center for Science and Technology, and this was probably 2000, 2001. And yeah, they always used Netscape because it had really good parental controls, and the school could really monitor what we were doing. And I'll never forget back then, my job every time I came in the morning was to go into the server room and change out the backup tape. They had a backup tape Monday to Friday, and my job was to push that eject button, wait for it to rewind, tape pops out, put it back in, tape whatever the next day's tape is out, put it in, and that would spool up. How many of you guys remember tape storage? Oh boy, I opened a whole can of worms here. A lot of people talking about ATI or AMD versus NVIDIA. Well, I will say this. NVIDIA or say AMD always runs a little bit hotter in my experience, but I've never had problems with it like overheating. Creighton Benner has haven't seen tape storage for years. There are some companies that still use it, believe it or not, because you can actually get tape drives that'll hold terabytes of data, and it's really secure. And well, I say secure, it's really reliable, not necessarily secure, but the idea is tape lasts for a really long time. We're talking about decades versus CDs, which these things they promised us would last us 100 years. And guess what? These I've had for maybe 5 or 10 years. And if you look closely, you can already see the chemicals degrading. And back in the day when optical media first came out, they said that they would last 50 to 60% longer than analog media, in other words, tapes. They can't make up their minds. Now we find out that tape storage is actually longer lasting and even more secure. Yeah, Walmart's pretty much gotten rid of most of their CDs. Best Buy got rid of their CDs, and now, excuse me, now they only have records. They actually replaced their CDs that they did have with vinyl. We're going backwards. We're going into that analog media again, or analog music, which honestly, I like the sound quality of analog music. I would much rather listen to a cassette tape or a record or a reel to reel versus listening to something like a CD or an MP3 or heaven forbid satellite radio, because satellite radio to me sounds like everything sounds like a robot voice. It does. If you've ever heard satellite radio, listen to it. It's exactly what it sounds like. And a lot of it has to do with digital artifacting. It's the process of digitizing the music. It takes something out of the experience. I mean, when you listen to, like, I love Joni Mitchell. I'm a huge Joni Mitchell fan. I listen to her music all the time. When I listen to her Court and Spark album on a LP or a cassette, I feel the music more inside of me than I do if I listen to it on a CD or an MP3 or even on something like Pandora radio or Amazon music. I just much prefer analog media. It's like Eric's brother spoofed him about scratching CDs. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I fell for a lot of stuff like that when I was young. I was really gullible. I actually probably still am, to be honest with you. I'm a little more cynical now than I was in my younger days. Yes, I absolutely agree with you 100%, Mr. Jimmy. Tapes made post 2000, the quality just totally went down. I have a lot of blank tapes, TDKs, and some Maxells from the early to mid 80s, and they sound so much better. As a matter of fact, okay, hang on. I got something for you. Oh, okay. So these are the tapes that have some of the best sound quality, and these are Type 1 tapes. So yeah, there were better versions of these, but in their day, for Type 1 tapes, these were some of the best ones. And I picked all these up at a thrift store. First one here is the good old Sony HF all-purpose tape. I don't have an exact date on this, but this style of Sony tape was used throughout the 80s into the very early 90s. So I'm probably going to date this somewhere around 1986, 1987. Next, we have, dropping them on the ground here, we have a TDK D90. TDK D90, another great tape that got really bad. Like who actually said that? Mr. Jimmy said around 2000. This series of tape was used for so many years. Do we have a date? 1988. I don't know if the camera will pick that up or not. Come on, focus. It probably won't. And maybe if I go like this. There we go. See, copyright 1988. And one way you can actually tell how good a cassette is, not necessarily that it's old, but in the early days they used that compact cassette because, believe it or not, I'm going to pick this one up I dropped. During the early days, cassettes weren't all the same. Philips had a cassette that was not a compact cassette. In other words, it was not compatible with this type of cassette. I think JVC had their own version, but by like the mid 1960s to early 1970s, they all pretty much standardized with the compact cassette. And last but not least, we have a Maxell UR90. Probably out of all these tapes, Maxell being my favorite for sound quality. Not necessarily durability. If I'd have to give the Sony highest marks for durability, but for actual sound quality, the Maxells tend to be the best. And does this have a date on it? This does not have a date on it, but looking at the style, I can tell you this is from 1984, 1985. I actually have a website that I looked this up on. They'll tell me when blank tapes were actually produced. It's really, really cool. And if I find it, I'll make sure I share that with you guys. All right. Eric, I have an old Kenwood quadraphonic system with an amazing turntable and super clean amp. With the right record and speakers, you can hear the guitarist moving their fingers on the strings. See, that's exactly what I was trying to say. With digital music, you lose something in the music. You don't get as close to the music as you do with the old analog music. You just don't. When you digitize it, you lose sometimes, usually you lose the lows more than the highs. Like you could hear the whatever, I'm trying to think, like you could hear the higher instruments like a flute, a piccolo, maybe a violin, but things like the bass guitar, all the lower end instruments, sometimes, a lot of times with digitized music, you lose that. Whereas with analog music, you'll hear everything. And honestly, with analog music, more specifically cassettes, you sometimes lose the highs and you get the lows. It's kind of the opposite. What do you mean you're leaving? Oh, Awesome Computers missed that. I am going to be leaving town for about a month. Don't worry, I'm not leaving YouTube to help someone set up a store in near where my uncle lives up in Green, New York. So don't worry, I'm not going to be leaving forever. And believe me, I'll still be doing videos when I'm up there. Thought I was leaving us. No, no. Well, you know what, everybody? I am going to have to end it. Between the two live streams, I think I've been doing this for about 45 minutes now. Thank you so much for coming. Hope everybody has a great evening. Please continue to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.